Hey folks, how's it going? Plastic Guy here, coming back with another figure review, and today we're checking out the latest Mess Toys knockoff action figure with the Superior Spider-Man. We've previously taken a look at the Scarlet Spider-Man, the Symbiote Spider-Man, and now we've got Ultimate Neighbor. But this isn't the best person you could have living next door to you. This is Superior Spidey. Let's check it out. So starting with the packaging, this is very similar to what we have seen before, bringing in Scarlet Neighbor, Black Suit Neighbor. We can see that this Ultimate Neighbor is the same size of box. Checking out the artwork on it, at the top we get Ultimate Neighbor, Mess Toys logo. The front we get the suit design in box form, which I think is pretty cool. 112 action figure, again Ultimate Neighbor, Mess Toys. No images of the figure on the box at all. I do like how we get the back of the suit on the back of the box. And then customers who purchase must read it carefully. Hit that pause button if you want to read that now. Let's get this thing open. Inside the box there are two sections. In the bottom section here we get the base to our flight stand. Again, very similar to what we have seen before from Mess Toys with their Symbiote Spidey, Scarlet Neighbor. The flight stand screws into this point at the top, and the base has the logo for the respective Spider-Man figure, and this looks just as good as the previous releases. I've not actually used this because I do prefer to use clear flight stands and it's easier for me to edit them out, but I do think this is a really nice touch just with the base. Can't really beat it. Then we get the Waldos. You can see the bit for the flight stand here and some webs, so let's check them out. We get these webbed weapon accessories, which are the exact same as the previous web accessories included with the Mess Toys figures. These are complete rip-offs of the Revoltech Amazing Yamaguchi 2.0 Spider-Man action figure, and Mess Toys have now given us these with Symbiote Spidey, Scarlet Neighbor, and now Ultimate Neighbor, aka Superior Spider-Man. So I would have liked to have maybe seen something different this time around, but these do the trick. They are a bit different to Marvel Legends, Mayfix, Figuarts. Of course, these are, again, total rip-offs of the Revoltech web weapon accessories, but they're kind of cool. Maybe I'm getting a bit bored of them. We then get 4 of these Waldos, and I believe that all 4 are the exact same. I think the paint is really nice on them. Hopefully yours doesn't have this hair included. But yeah, I think the paint looks great, this shiny red, and the articulation on them is great. They're sturdy as well, so they move around really nicely. They hold a pose. I really like these. I'm not a huge fan of Spider-Man with Waldos in general, so it's not really a look that I ever choose to go for with Spidey, but I have posed these around with the figure, and I think they've worked really well. I've said that maybe about 3 times, but yeah, they do the trick. They look good, they move really well. I can't really ask for much more with Mess Toys. You've got the port at the end here, and so we can see what these look like ported onto the figure. And just to confirm, here is the rest of the flight stand. Before we move on to the rest of the figure, I did just remember that I had the Marvel Legends Waldos just to the side there, and so I think we should just do a quick comparison with the Marvel Legends Superior Spider-Man Waldos to the Mess Toys Waldos here. Honestly, I much prefer the look and colour and movement on the Mess Toys Superior Spider-Man here. Honestly, both of these are around the same price. These are both around the £20 price mark, but I do feel like the Mess Toys is just more premium. Honestly, the smoothness on these joints, the movability here is very smooth. I think the paint and sculpt is just fantastic. And when I go to move these ones around, it's a bit more gummy. It doesn't feel as nice when you're rotating these. And overall, I just think the paint doesn't quite match up to that shiny cherry red here. I think the Marvel Legends is fine, but I think the Mess Toys is better. Into the next part of the packaging, we get very similar stuff to what we've seen before. We're pretty much getting a repaint this time around with some cool extras. Let's start with the familiarities here. Again, web clipping accessories are the exact same. We get 2 of these web lines, exact same sculpt as the Revoltech Amazing Yamaguchi 2.0, and the exact same sculpt as what we've seen before from Mess Toys. As we go into these first sets of hands here, I will make a retraction because actually we get one more pair of interchangeable hands compared to the Symbiote Spidey from Mess Toys, and these also have much more claw-like fingers. See, all these fingers come to a point. Don't look at my manky fingers. Why did I even draw attention to them? But yeah, all these fingers come to a point, and that looks pretty serious. Comparing that to the Symbiote Mess Toys Spider-Man fingers, yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. I was going to say figure, but comparing fingers to fingers here, these are much more natural looking, much more rounded, and so not really a straight up repaint. We get these really sprawled out open hands, web flipping hands. These are more sort of relaxed, loose hands. Again, very pointy fingernails at the end of these ones. I'm unsure what types of hands these are. These are sort of ballet dancing pointing hands. More curled grabbing hands. I've dropped one, but looking at the other one, you get that red paint on the inside, the claws kind of hooking round, and all these hands look excellent. Good paint work, great sculpt. More than happy with these hands here. But to get to my favourite parts of the figure, we get this wee spider bot here looking really cool. Really like the sculpt. Paint's looking again pretty spot on. Got those wee spider eyes, but I love the head sculpts on this figure right here. Starting with this half-mast one, this looks fantastic. For a bootleg company like Mess Toys, now there is a lot of discussion whether Mess Toys is a bootleg company. I would say so. They are ripping off Revoltech's Amazing Yamaguchi Spider-Man 2.0 sculpt again and again and again. We are getting some unique pieces from them. For example, this head sculpt, the Peter Parker sculpt included with the figure. But in my eyes, I don't know where these sculpts come from, if they're stealing them from customizers or other companies, or if they are making these sculpts themselves from scratch. You know, I'm not saying everything is perhaps bootlegged, but overall I would definitely call them a bootleg company, and that's fine. You know, I'm still buying these figures, I'm still having a lot of fun with them, but a lot of people have a problem with the word bootleg or knockoff. These are bootleg action figures at the end of the day. They are ripping off Revoltech, but this head sculpt is not something that we've gotten from Revoltech in the past, and I think it looks really nice. I think the lenses look great, the way that black shines in the light, the expression on the face here. The paint could be a wee bit better, but again, for the £20 price mark, and Mess Toys being a sort of new coming knockoff company over on AliExpress, I think this is great. Taking a look at the other head sculpt, we've got this Peter Parker piece that is a whole sort of neck and head sculpt that is interchangeable. Works really well with the figure. I've swapped this over. I can't stop looking at my fingernails now. I have been painting. Please excuse the state of them. But yeah, I think this head sculpt is really good. I think it is pretty spot on for an Amazing Yamaguchi Peter Parker, because I don't think we have gotten a Peter Parker head sculpt from Amazing Yamaguchi in the past. And this works really well with this figure. I've not actually tried it on any of the others yet. We can definitely try it on the Symbiote Mess Toys figure. I'm going to get the Scarlet Spider out to compare to this as well. But in terms of real Amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech action figures, I'm not 100% on. My real version is totally goosed. It is retired, it falls apart, and so it is at the back of the cupboard. However, these are 1-to-1 scale with Amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech, and so if it can swap onto the Symbiote and the Scarlet Neighbor, then I'm pretty sure it will work with an original Amazing Yamaguchi. And that is a fantastic option to have for £20. If you were just to buy this bootleg action figure for £20 and then use this head sculpt on a Revoltech Spidey, you're getting your money's worth. These custom head sculpts these days are pretty pricey, and so to get a full figure alongside a head sculpt like this, I think it's a great deal. And then we get the figure itself, and perhaps I'm not giving Mess Toys enough credit when I keep saying that these are just repaints of previous releases, because there's a lot of stuff going on here that we've not actually seen before from Mess Toys, or as far as I'm aware, Amazing Yamaguchi. And again, I don't know where they are getting these sculpts from, how much is original and how much is ripped off. But I'm not complaining when it's costing me £20 from AliExpress. This head sculpt is absolutely gorgeous, man. It really reminds me of the Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit. I think it looks excellent. I do wish, personal preference, I would love to see a more classic Spider-Man looking mask here with sort of white lenses. The all black isn't quite my mind's eye Spider-Man, but of course for this Superior Spider-Man look, it does the trick. This is Superior Spider-Man. I can't complain that the lenses are black, but I just love the overall shape of this mask. I think the lenses look brilliant, the sculpted web lines look fantastic, and again, that's why you can't really call this a straight up repaint, because the symbiote Spider-Man from Mess Toys, your Scarlet Neighbor Spider-Man, didn't have any sculpted web lines. I think this is the first Mess Toys figure where we've gotten these sculpted web lines, and they're painted so well here. This is honestly a beautiful action figure, and on top of that, you have that Amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech articulation. There's a lot of movement going on here. Nothing that is new in terms of articulation. We've seen it many times before here on the channel, over on the Instagram page. That bicep is pretty locked on there. I didn't notice that before. Is it the same on this arm? Okay, so we've got the bicep swivel working on that arm. That's normal. I'm not going to hold that against Mess Toys here. That's locked on. I'm not going to force that anymore. So there we go. We've got a locked bicep swivel on the right arm. Again, not really going to hold that against Mess Toys for the price of this. I think that is to be expected. You do have to kind of expect these things with bootlegs, but some people don't want to call them bootlegs, third-party sellers or whatever. Okay, that might become a problem. That might become a lot more frustrating. Let's see here. Okay, I hadn't put it on properly. That seems to be back on. You've got that butterfly joint as well, which always adds to the range of movement on these amazing Yamaguchi style figures. Great ab crunch back the way. And I want to show off these gauntlets here. Really nice paint again, really nice sculpt. Cannot fault this Superior Spidey at all. I think it looks the part. The legs are very similar to what we've seen from our Scarlet Neighbor here. Revoltech style joints. Again, when you pose these around, I would move them at the thigh first and sort of pose your legs before you're moving the sort of torso area with that ab crunch and whatnot, or you may have the legs popping out on you. But as I say, in the majority of these videos, when I pose Amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech figures, they always fall apart on me, and I've actually pledged to never buy another Amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech styled figure, because I have never bought one where the legs didn't just come flying off, the arms weren't coming flying off. And I have to say, so far so good with this Mess Toys bootleg, so far so good with all the Mess Toys bootlegs. At this point, when I've posed them all around, I've not really had the same problems that I've had with the legitimate Amazing Yamaguchi figures, so that is always really refreshing, because I do love the articulation on these things, but the Revoltechs just become so frustrating to pose, and I've not actually had that issue with Mess Toys. I'm holding him by his legs because I just want to show off the red at the bottom of the feet at this point. And let's compare this to some other figures in the collection. And so here we have our three Mess Toys Spider-Man action figures standing next to one another. And these are all absolutely fantastic. I think the price point is well and truly justified on each of these. Again, I love the range of movement with our amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech styled Spider-Man figures, and Mess Toys do a fantastic job at replicating that and giving us these different styles to Spidey. Of course, Revoltech have just announced their version of the Symbiote Spider-Man, and I love how they have really mixed it up from this sort of base sculpt here. I think that's what Revoltech really needed to do after Mess Toys have done this time and time again. I love how they have stepped away from the kind of basic mold here, and so I would love to get my hands on that figure eventually, but again, I really have soured on Amazing Yamaguchi. We'll see what happens. I'll definitely check out some reviews, but it always just seems to be my luck that I get some really bad copies here. I do think they've done something different with the shoulders on this figure. They look a lot more natural in this vanilla pose. I can't really get these shoulders looking as flush, especially on the Symbiote Spidey here. So I do feel like there are some improvements to the sculpt with the Superior Spidey. Again, I love the web lines here. I really hope we get some sort of variation of that on a different Spider-Man, a more classic Spider-Man from Mess Toys in the near future. Because of course we don't have a straight up Mark II remake. CT Toys made the Mark II, and we'll check out this again in a second when we compare it to these Mess Toys Spidey figures, because I don't think it's done as well. I really don't think it's done as well as these Mess Toys figures. So I definitely want to see Mess Toys do a more classic Spider-Man, and ideally it wouldn't even be the Mark II. It would be just an original styled comic figure like our Maximum Spidey here. I mean, imagine how cool this costume would look on this style of Spider-Man from Mess Toys. So a really great addition from Mess Toys, maybe even their best Spider-Man yet. I do really quick just want to see if this head sculpt here is going to go on our Mess Toys Symbiote Spidey, because with Symbiote Spider-Man being a more classic Spider-Man, I would be more likely to pose this figure around, probably more so than Superior Spidey or Scarlet Spider-Man, although both of those figures are great. I do personally prefer the black suited Spider-Man and more classic versions to them. And so if I was going to go for a figure to have this Peter Parker head sculpt on, it would be this one here, but that's just not really working, is it? I do think because it has a different neck system, like a different portable neck on the Superior Spider-Man figure, it does help with the overall length there. That's a bit of a bummer. You could probably make it work in some like wall crawling poses and web swinging poses, to be fair. You could definitely cover that. Oh, that's not happened before. You could definitely cover that up, but just in that vanilla. Yeah, that looks pretty good, man. I do have to say that does work better, kind of working with the angles and whatnot. Yeah, I'll take it. To compare our latest Mess Toys Spider-Man action figure to some of the CT Toys Spider-Man action figures, we've got the Mafex bootleg on the right and their own Amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech Spider-Man 2.0 figure on the left. And you can see with the Amazing Yamaguchi ripoff and the Mess Toys bootleg, Mess Toys are doing the Amazing Yamaguchi thing just a wee bit better than the CT Toys here. I think the sculpt overall is much more premium. It's a lot sleeker. I think the movement and everything on it just works a lot better. The CT Toys is fine, and again, it is better than my legitimate Amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech Spidey. But I want to see this Spider-Man from Mess Toys, and again, I'd actually prefer it if they did a more classic Spidey like this CT Toys bootleg of the Mafex rather than the Mark. Is it a Mark II or Mark IV? I can't remember what that suit actually is, but I definitely prefer a more classic look to Spidey. And you can see here, CT Toys were still kind of messing around with the scale. A lot of their knockoffs at this point are 1:1, but this is a lot smaller than the original Mafex, unfortunately. We took a look at this Marvel Legends Superior Spider-Man figure not long back here on the channel, And I think it's a decent figure. I honestly think the Mess Toys is a lot better. Again, these cost around the same price point. And I'm a big fan of Marvel Legends. I actually love Marvel Legends action figures. I think they get a lot of hate. I think a lot of the hate is pretty forced, and I think a lot of the hate is deserved. When you compare them to other companies though, I don't think that there seems to be a big push on Reddit at the moment that Marvel Legends QC is like overly horrendous, and honestly I've had way more QC issues with Mafex, Revoltech than I ever have with Marvel Legends. It is just your luck, I think, with any action figure, no matter what company it's coming from. You got to be prepared to have wee issues, and I don't think it's specifically down to the company producing the figures. It's just a fact that any of these figures could be hit with QC. And at the moment there just seems to be quite a few Hasbro figures. I'm not excusing it, I mean it sucks, you know, I don't want anyone to have bad QC issues, but the idea that Hasbro is like a really bad figure company is definitely something that I'm seeing trying to get pushed more and more, and I don't quite believe it, again, especially when you compare it to other figure companies out there. But when you're comparing this in front of you, it is pretty crazy that this Superior Spidey from a third-party seller is really beating out the Marvel Legends, and they're costing around the same price here. I think the Mess Toys is great. I think it looks better, it moves around a lot better. What I do really like about the Marvel Legends are the head sculpts included with it. Again, I really like the head sculpts on the Superior Spider-Man from Mess Toys. The overall face sculpt, the sculpted webbing, I think is great. I do prefer the white lenses on Superior Spidey, and of course with the Marvel Legends one we also got the one with the reflective city lenses, which I thought was fantastic. And so yeah, the head sculpts on both of these figures are really highly rated for me, but when it comes to the rest of the figure, the Waldos, the articulation, the sculpt, Mess Toys definitely beats it. And so there we have it for our Superior Spider-Man from Mess Toys, or you might want to call it the Ultimate Neighbor. And this is the Ultimate Neighbor. I think this is fantastic. Again, for the price point, I really can't complain at all. Of course, I do have that locked bicep swivel, but it's really not setting this figure back at all. The sculpt is perfect. The paint is immaculate. I absolutely love this thing, and I really do have my fingers crossed that we will get a classic comic styled Spider-Man from Mess Toys on this body mold. Something to the extent of this Maximum Series Marvel Legends Spider-Man, but in this style, because I love a classic Spidey, and I love these figures from Mess Toys, but these just aren't my favourite versions of Spidey. I prefer the classics, and so hopefully we'll get something like that from them soon. I do know they're making a Venom action figure on a much bulkier sculpt, and oh my goodness, I cannot wait for that. I'm really interested in seeing what that's going to turn out like. Let me know what you guys want to see from Mess Toys down in the comment section below. While you're down there, guys, if you're new to the channel, then please hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, then please hit that like button. I'm going to leave the link to my Instagram down in the description below, and it would mean a lot if you could hop on over to the Instagram page, because I love all the Instagram stuff that comes along with the figure community. Unfortunately, I've got so much going on at the moment. I've not really been posing much around, but I have so much banked that I need to edit, and so I'm still posting over there. The videos and posts might slow down a wee bit, but I'm not trying to disappear. I'm definitely looking to hang around, and so I'll still be posting on both the YouTube and Instagram. And yeah, it would mean a lot if you could check it out. It means a lot that you've watched this video right here, guys, so thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll catch yous on the flip-flop later. Cheers.